They watched us before we existed. The signal began as a mistake. At least, that's what Dr. Ayaan Malik thought when the anomaly first appeared on his screen at 2:17 a.m. A faint, repeating tremor beneath the Indian Ocean. Too consistent to be seismic, too precise to be natural. He leaned closer, eyes narrowing. The waveform pulsed in exact intervals, like a heartbeat that had never missed a beat. Not possible, he murmured. For years, Ayaan had studied the Earth's hidden movements, the quiet language of tectonic plates. But this wasn't language. It was intention. He reran the data 3 times. Same result. Perfect rhythm. Perfect symmetry. And then it changed. The signal paused. And resumed, slightly faster. Ayaan felt a chill crawl up his spine. It's reacting, he whispered. Within hours, the anomaly triggered global attention. What began as a scientific curiosity became a classified emergency. Ayaan found himself flown to a secure facility, where military officials and scientists gathered around a massive display. General Riaz stood at the front, his expression carved from stone. Dr. Malik, he said, tell us what we're looking at. Ayaan hesitated. It's not seismic activity. It's structured. Mathematical. Meaning it's artificial. The room fell silent. A technician stepped forward. We've converted the signal into a visual matrix. The screen shifted. Lines formed shapes. Spirals within spirals repeating endlessly. Coordinates, Ayaan said. Coordinates to where? The general asked. Ayaan swallowed. Not where, he replied. How deep? 48 hours later, Ayaan stood aboard a massive ocean drilling platform, staring down into a shaft descending into darkness. The ocean stretched endlessly around them, calm and indifferent. This is madness, one engineer muttered. We're digging into something that's been buried for, what, millions of years? Ayaan adjusted his gloves. Or waiting. The descent began. The capsule groaned as it dropped deeper into the Earth's crust. Heat pressed against the walls, then suddenly vanished, replaced by an unnatural cold. At 11,032 meters, the drill struck something. Not rock, not sediment, metal. The structure beneath the Earth was impossible. Ayaan stepped out of the capsule onto a smooth black surface that stretched farther than his light could reach. It wasn't corroded or broken. It was pristine, as if it had been placed there yesterday. Thin lines of soft blue light pulsed across the ground, matching the rhythm of the signal. It's still active, someone whispered. Ayaan knelt, running his gloved hand across the surface. It's not just active, he said. It's aware. As if responding, the ground beneath them shifted. Panels slid open silently, revealing a corridor descending deeper. The team exchanged uneasy glances. No one touch anything, the lead engineer said. But Ayaan was already stepping forward. The corridor felt alive. Walls shimmered with faint light, reacting to their movement. The deeper they went, the more the structure seemed to rearrange itself, guiding them, not trapping them. Then they reached the chamber. It was vast, circular, with a ceiling so high it vanished into darkness. At the center stood a single structure, tall, slender, and glowing faintly. And in front of it, something moved. A figure emerged from the shadows. It wasn't solid. It shimmered like light bending through water. Its shape was vaguely humanoid, but elongated, its features undefined. Ayaan froze. The figure raised its head. And then, a voice filled his mind. You are earlier than expected. Ayaan gasped, staggering slightly. You're speaking. Not speaking, the presence corrected. Sharing. Who are you? Ayaan asked, his voice trembling. The figure seemed to ripple. We are the observers. Images flooded Ayaan's mind. Earth, billions of years ago. Lifeless sphere. Then structures descending from the stars, embedding themselves into the planet's core. Machines awakening. Atmosphere forming. Oceans rising. You created this. Ayaan whispered. We prepared it. For us. For life. The others in the room began to react, some collapsing to their knees, overwhelmed by the visions. You've been here the entire time. Ayaan asked. We have watched, recorded, guided when necessary. Guided. Ayaan echoed. More images. Subtle shifts in evolution. Environmental stabilizations. Invisible interventions that nudged life forward without revealing their presence. You shaped us, he said. No, the observer replied. You shaped yourselves. We only ensured the possibility. But why reveal yourselves now? Ayaan asked. The observer's form flickered. 'Cause the pattern has changed. What pattern? Ayaan's mind filled with images again. Human history unfolding at accelerating speed. Cities rising. Wars burning. Technology advancing. Signals. Radio waves. Satellite transmissions. Broadcasts screaming into space. You have announced yourselves, the observer said. Ayaan felt his stomach drop. So, the observer's tone shifted, something darker beneath its calm. We were not the only ones watching. The chamber trembled. Dust fell from the unseen ceiling above. Is that coming from here? Someone shouted. No, the observer said. Another tremor, stronger this time. It is coming from above. On the surface, the world changed in an instant. Satellites captured the first images. Massive distortions in the upper atmosphere. Shapes that bent light around them, revealing outlines too large to comprehend. No sound. No fire. Just arrival. Governments scrambled. Military defenses activated. But nothing engaged. 'Cause nothing could. Back in the chamber, Ayaan faced the observer. You knew this would happen, he said. We feared it. Who are they? The observer hesitated. They are what we escaped. Ayaan's chest tightened. And you led them here. No, the observer replied. You did. The truth hit harder than anything else. Humanity hadn't just evolved. It had called out. And something had answered. What do we do? Ayaan asked. For the first time, the observer seemed uncertain. We do not know. You've been guiding us for thousands of years. Ayaan snapped. You have to have a plan. The observer's light dimmed slightly. We guided life, not survival against them. The structure around them began to shift again, but this time it wasn't welcoming. Lights flickered. Panels sealed. What's happening? The engineer shouted. We are withdrawing, the observer said. Ayaan stepped forward. You're leaving. Our purpose here is complete. Complete. Ayaan's voice rose. You can't just abandon us. The observer's form began to dissolve. We did not abandon you. We gave you everything you needed. Then help us use it. Then softly. You must learn what it means to stand alone. The light vanished. The chamber fell into darkness. Hours later, Ayaan stood on the surface again. The sky was no longer the same. Massive shapes hung silently above the atmosphere, so large they blocked out stars. No movement, no communication, just presence. Humanity waited, terrified. Suppose. Ayaan looked up, his mind racing. The observers had prepared Earth, guided life, protected it, but they had never intended to stay. They were caretakers, not defenders. Around the world, systems began to fail. Satellites went dark. Communications flickered. And then, signal. Not from Earth. Not from below. From them. It wasn't a language. It was something deeper. Pattern. Frequency. The same rhythm Ayaan had seen before. Only now. It wasn't calling inward. It was calling outward. Ayaan's breath caught. They're not here to destroy us, he whispered. They're here to answer us. But as the signal intensified, something became clear. This wasn't first contact. This was a response. And whatever had heard humanity's voice across the stars, had finally decided to reply. Far beyond Earth, beyond even the silent giants hovering above it, something ancient shifted in the darkness. Watching, measuring, judging. Just as it had done countless times before. And on a small, fragile planet, A species that had never truly been alone finally understood the truth. They had been watched before they existed. They had been guided without knowing. Now, for the first time, they were being seen, not as an experiment, not as a possibility, but as something else entirely. Something that had called into the void, and survived long enough to hear it answer. Ayaan closed his eyes, the weight of it all settling in. "We're not children anymore," he said softly. Above him, the silent giants loomed. And the signal grew stronger. The universe was no longer quiet. And whatever came next would not be watched from the shadows. It would be faced, head-on.